Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Boruto Anime review. This one is going to be for episode 140, which is called The Mind Jutsu That Lost to Potato Chips. So I think overall this was a fun episode, but definitely an episode where they really stretched it out to make a whole episode. This felt like the plot for maybe half of an episode really just extended out into a full episode. It was still entertaining because you got to focus on some nice dynamics in terms of like Inojin and Chocho getting like a whole focus episode basically, and then having Ino and Sai kind of be the kind of characters that we obviously care about, that we want to see more of. So there was definitely some nice moments as we went through it of just the mission at the start highlighting why Inojin wants to perfect the mind transfer jutsu, so that it's not this thing he hesitates over when he has to use it on a mission. Thankfully they had Shigadai on the team, so he was able to make up for the sort of hesitation, and they just highlight that Shigadai is kind of a level above some of the other genin at this point because he's a chunin. And that's what drives Inojin to want to perfect that jutsu. So nice premise, and then he just goes to his parents and says, I want to perfect it, and immediately Ino is very excited about this, because obviously with Inojin the thing that we know is that he tends to lean more towards kind of Sai's jutsu, and that it seems to just come easier to him. So she's obviously very excited that he wants to learn her jutsu now more in depth. So that was cool to see, excited Ino doing the training, and then, seeing just her personality that we know, of course, from the original show kind of coming back out, her intensity, her willpower. That's why she's so good at mind transfer jutsu, that it is all about the willpower, kind of exerting your will over whoever you're transferring your mind into. And they demonstrated with the Tanuki, which Inojin is able to do. He's just not necessarily able to do it against anyone who you would in any way consider to be, powerful or strong of will. And so the reason the episode is called what it's called is because he tries to use it on Chocho to prevent her from eating potato chips, and her willpower to eat those chips overpowers his jutsu. And it's all about, how can he overcome this weakness, that he's a little bit more of a sort of weak-willed character than some of the other characters that we have here. So what can actually kind of, propel him to actually, being able to use this jutsu on a high level. And in the end, they kind of break it down into the fact that, like, okay, there's some frustrations with the way the training is going. He wants to, back out. Sai says, oh, we'll switch over, you can train more with the Super Beast Scroll. Ino gets very frustrated by this, and so Sai and Ino have an argument, and it's all about how do we stop that argument from descending into an all-out slugfest between husband and wife, basically. And I liked, Chocho throughout this episode, constantly calling Ino and Sai, aunt and uncle and stuff like that. That was kind of nice. Like, she's definitely one of the more kind of fun characters. Just her personality comes out very well, Chocho. But yeah, the main thing here is just, okay, Inojin is going to have to use the mind transfer jutsu to stop his parents from arguing. And, this is probably where it gets very stretched out, in that this scene just kind of is most of the episode, this extended scene here on the training field of just, he tries the jutsu here, he tries the jutsu here, he tries it here, he tries it here, then it finally works, and so on. The main thing to get across here is he tries to do it on Ino the first time, and she just immediately basically sends him flying back out. He tries to do it on Sai, and Sai basically lets him sort of take over to try and calm Ino down, but he ends up just sort of making it worse. And so sort of last ditch attempt, he goes into Ino again and just sort of demonstrates a stronger will, and through just kind of emotionally sort of connecting with the situation and showing his desire that he's allowed to do it. So it wasn't this amazing kind of growth for the character, but like you can tell he sort of gets a little bit more of an understanding about how to really strongly exert your will and keep it there. So the plan in the end is just that while Ino is taken over by Inojin, Chocho gives Sai the advice that he needs to sort of end the argument. And what it is that basically he hugs her, and this is sort of just the dynamic that sort of Ino and Sakura sort of share, of just like that they really want to be closer to their husbands, and like because Sai is not the most sort of emotional character, he maybe doesn't like do these sort of romantic gestures as much as he maybe should. And of course with Sakura, Sasuke's not around most of the time, so this is sort of what calms things down, and that she's immediately blushing that he's hugged her and stuff like that. So that was a fun little look into sort of their dynamic, that Sai is a much more sort of open character now, but like, oh, he sort of learned something here about sort of better way to sort of communicate with his wife. But they don't focus on it too much, but at least it was a nice kind of cute little scene. We did get sort of what I really liked was the reference to stuff that I think the original like source of the content is from the light novels, where they kind of highlighted how Sai and Ino sort of came together as a couple, and Sai in so many ways like falling for Ino because of that time she saved him with her mind transfer jutsu when he was sort of taken over and was thought to be almost like a rogue ninja at one point. He kind of went missing, and Ino was the one who brought him back. That was like the early kind of stages of their relationship, and that's another kind of thing of just like, okay, cool, like highlighting that relationship that we don't know that much about. We got a little bit on it like towards the end of Shippuden, once the main story had come to an end, before we ended things there. But I like that reference that Sai told Inojin that story, and he relays it to her, and it just kind of highlights that the strength of their relationship, that she had maybe not heard just the exact impact that that moment had on Sai, and it really is there. So that's really about all there is. They sort of bookmark the episode with the idea of like I suppose Inojin's weak will is shown by the fact that the second Chocho asks if she can have his fries, he just sort of hands them over, and in the final scene, like, he buys the food for her, but then he uses the mind transfer jutsu and sort of eats the fry himself. So that was just a nice little thing. Like, it was definitely on theme. It was a very focused episode in that sense, in terms of it knew what it wanted to do, and it covered it in a lot of depth, but it was definitely more stretched out. There wasn't too much to this one, but it was still entertaining. Like, these are I suppose the type of episodes that are like you're fine with, that they're focusing in on sort of a family dynamic. They're really going into specific character interactions, and these are the type of things you really want to see. Like, I'd like to see a sort of reverse style episode of this, where it's like Chocho training with her mother and father, and maybe Inojin is looking in on it. That sort of thing. Like, we've already sort of done this a little bit with Shikadai, and that we've seen him use some wind style stuff from Tamari. So I'd like to see Chocho learn some lightning style from Karui. That would be a very kind of fun thing to do, because like, especially if she could combine those together, the giant style jutsu that she learns from Chocho as from Choji, combined with the lightning style, that would make her insanely powerful. So that's something to look out for. And that, like, yeah, the hybrid of some of these characters with their jutsus being passed on to their children. There's some pretty powerful combinations in there when you really think about it. So that's something worth talking about. But yeah, there's not too much to this episode. So yeah, they're my thoughts on the episode. In the comments, let me know what your thoughts were. But that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.